Welcome everyone. So welcome to the weekly where we basically present the work we've done this week, any important news, and you also have the opportunity at the end to talk to us and ask any questions. This week I was very busy on two things. First, we started our new EU cluster for the enterprise customers that needed to have their dedicated cluster hosted in the EU. So we're hosted on AWS, and everything is using infrastructure as code. Everything is hosted on top of Kubernetes, and so we wanted to take the opportunity as we are opening a new cluster to do a fresh look on our infrastructure. And now if we were to open a third cluster, it would be a lot easier. The rest of the week was mostly on bug fixes. So I will leave the mic to Hugo, which have something pretty exciting to showcase this week.
Yes. So hi everyone. So maybe some of you already know, but I've been working on triggers recently, and this week we've added a new kind. I mean, it's not released yet, but it will be soon. And so we're adding Kafka triggers. Let me share my screen. I'll do a small demo. All right. Is it visible? Cool.
Yes.
So yeah, thanks. Basically, we work like WebSockets. It's really similar. So you create a new trigger. You specify your brokers. You can also specify some kind of security or none if you don't have any. And then you can specify the topics you want to listen to. And you also have a group ID so that you can keep track of the message you've already received. And of course, the runnable you want to call. And basically, Windmill will start listening to the brokers from Kafka, and every time it gets a message for the given topic, it will trigger a new job with the message. So I have like a local server on my computer. I'll just enable it. It might take a little bit, but like for WebSockets, we have some kind of loop in the background, which will check regularly for Kafka triggers that aren't listened to. And we see now that it's connected. So now you don't see this part of my screen, but I'll be sending a new message on my Kafka broker. All right, it's sent. And now we should see a new message. So we see here that we have a new job started 3 seconds ago, and we see that this is the message I just sent. It will be probably released this weekend or at the beginning of next week. And it's pretty resilient. We try to kind of send it a million messages at a time to see if it will support. And at least according to our testing, it does. So we'll see what our clients will be able to do. That's
and what happens if Windmill were to disconnect or go down, and then you would reconnect? Can you tell me?
So yeah, it's a very good question. So that's the purpose of the group ID here. Thanks to this ID, once you reconnect after Windmill is connected, it will catch up all the messages that were missed, and you won't basically miss any message. And this is pretty cool, and it's yeah.
So essentially, we have the guarantee that if Windmill is set to listen to a Kafka topic, we'll never lose any message. So, great. Great. Then, Alex, would you have something to share this week?
Yes. Let me share my screen. And let me know if you can see it. All right, cool. So This week I worked mainly on two things. One was an extension of critical alerts, namely for Workspace administrators. So Workspace-specific critical alerts will also be visible for Workspace administrators for the Enterprise Edition. The next thing I was working on was improving our current scheduler, which is based on cron. And cron has a pretty limited set of expressions. So the current one we use supports basically what we can see here, where we can say, for example, every 30 minutes, but things like run something on the first Monday every month between January and March is something that is currently not expressible with the current cron syntax. So what I've done is to use the Croner library, which is coming from the kind of JavaScript space and has made its way into Rust, which basically has a compatibility mode with cron, so it supports all cron expressions, the standard ones, but also a lot of the more expressive types of syntax that, for example, allows you to run something every Monday. And I've also added it to the assistant. So, for example, if I say every first Monday of the month, the AI assistant can then generate this expression for you, and you can actually check the upcoming schedules. Actually, it's not Monday, but anyway, it's because Croner starts on 2, so still have to tweak that. But basically, yeah, you see the upcoming schedules. You can also do stuff like the month between March and October, and it will generate these kind of expressions for you. So as you can see, we're still have to do some testing on the specifically the AI generation, and the rest of the work will be around making sure we don't break existing schedules. So we'll have to add a toggle here to switch between the two kind of types of expression, the classical ones and the more expressive ones, and then make sure that as we will introduce this feature, we will not accidentally break existing schedules. So expect that to be also coming relatively soon.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, that's it's for me.
What about the Workspace critical alerts? Do you want to talk very briefly about them?
Yeah, I'm currently not able to show it because I would have to build it on a different branch. But compared to the existing critical alerts that we added, we did a few UI changes. So the critical alerts will now show for enterprise users here in the logs space. If there are unacknowledged alerts, you will basically see a little red dot with an indication how many unacknowledged alerts there are. And compared to before, if you're a super admin, not much will change, except that you can now toggle between the scope of your workspace and the global scope. But as a workspace admin, you'll also see critical alerts now for the workspace you're an admin. So that can include alerts like failing schedules or other alerts that pertain to the scope of a workspace and not global. And as a workspace admin, you will also have the same functionality of muting alerts or acknowledging alerts on the scope of a workspace.
Cool, really cool. Just before we switch to Mark, also there's some big change that landed this week from Ash, where basically we improve our current work on with UV, where now basically even for doing the installation of dependencies, we're also using UV. We made sure it wouldn't impact any of the current scripts, and as a result, running cold Python without any cache is a lot faster because UV is a lot faster. We're not completely finished with this work because we think we can do even more, and so there will be even more exciting news to share from Ash next week. But still, it's a pretty big milestone, and everyone is gonna see this the improvements with respect to the cold start of Python scripts. So was worth mentioning. Mark, would you like to share a bit about what you've done and give a bit of context on your work?
Yeah, sure. So I just have a small update. So the last couple of weeks, I've been working on file upload scripts. And basically the issue there was that most AI integrations require a file upload endpoint. And the difficulty was that before on Windmill, all of the scripts on the hub used base 64 encoding, and we didn't know how to interface it with S3 files. And so now that's fixed, and I can present to you a couple of integrations that are now in the process of being reviewed for the hub. So here I have Mistral. It's just a couple of simple scripts to show that, yeah, Mistral is working. Then I've added also Claude from Anthropic. And Strico.
And could you explain a little bit why was FileUpload required for those integration in particular?
So yeah, usually like the new AI providers have this feature where you can upload PDFs or images or any sorts of files and interact with them. And yeah, on Windmill, we usually use S3 for the secondary storage. So now that that's interfaced, you can use the scripts in more complicated flows.
Great.
Yep.
Super cool. So we're already.
Yeah, I guess that's it for me. Yeah.
We're expanding super fast our open source hub of integrations, and with this, we're gonna be able to expand even more the scope of features we had. And Henry, would you like to close the session with sharing your work?
Yeah, sure. So I showed it a bit already last week, but now it's like finalized. So I've worked on the new pricing scheme and page. I sent in the chat the preview if you guys want to check it out. So what's new compared to last week? I show my screen. Is that now we are using the concept of compute units to make things simpler. So basically, customers will pay for seats and compute units, which are a derivative of like a memory per worker, memory worker month, and each worker size has like a given compute unit number, and like customers can now play from the pricing page with like a number of workers, their size in different worker groups, and I get an estimation of the number of compute units that will be generated from that, and therefore a price. So it's maybe quite some new information to deal with compared to the vCPUs we had before, but we think it's like more clear and more fair eventually. So new pricing will be introduced next week probably. We just need to finalize the billing, our billing system to handle it.
Yeah, very cool. And as a reminder, this is very similar to our current pricing. It's kind of just more generous in the sense of we added a price cap for memory per worker, and we also removed the limits on vCPUs. Now you can just use unlimited vCPUs, but you have this kind of like a cap on memory. So it's mostly just simpler to understand and convey, but pricing hasn't really changed by itself. So very cool. It's gonna make a lot of our conversation easier for people to understand how we price things. Now we can start the community QA. So if anyone has any question, that might be the right time to ask on the channel. I don't think there are any this week. We'll wait 30 seconds, and if no one has any question, then we'll close the session.
We have two people writing a message.
So the question is pricing for actual usage? How often are CPUs reported to the portal? So we're not going to report CPUs. We're going to report the workers and the amount of memory. And basically, we have all the information from your instance, and the telemetry is daily. So the important point is not so much how we do it, but it would be what's the granularity of the reporting, and it's at the minute level, and it plays with basically our auto-scaling feature, where if you are in an infrastructure that can support it, then you would be billed exactly for something that looks a lot closer to your actual usage. Yeah. Great. Then if no one has any question, then have a great weekend and see you next week.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
See you.